Hello, I'm Dane. Welcome to another episode of Dash Jutsu, and by the way, happy weekends. In today's episode, we will learn how to create date presets in Power BI that instantly filter the visible dates based on a slicer selection, thus avoiding the need to modify existing measures or create new ones. Okay, so I have simple data model prepared, which has transactions up to today's date. This is very simple and this consists of random numbers. And my data model has a date table which has dates up to today. And of course, date is connected to date in the fact table. And this is what I want to do. I have this list of presets and I need to create a list of dates using this preset. So let's go ahead and paste this to our query. Enter data. Take some time. And then I'll name this table date presets. Yes, date presets. Okay. And I'll be using the number column to both sort and kind of reference the type. First thing we need to do is we need to identify our reference date. In this case, I'll be using today's date, which is actually the max date with transactions in my current data. But if you don't have um, date data for today, then you can use yesterday's date and whatever suits your case. So first, let me create a reference date. So reference date column, I'll be using date, time, zone, dot fix UTC now. Oops. And so this will return the time in UTC. Check. So currently it's 11:27 a.m. the Philippines, which is +8. So plus 0, that would be 327. And this doesn't end here. Let's modify this further. So we now have our UTC now. And then the next thing I'll be doing is I will be removing the time zone. And there's a reason why I'm removing the time zones because if I switch the time zone to +8 and then convert that to daytime or date, it still references UTC, which is kind of annoying. So I'll remove the time zone. And after that, I'll be adding 8 hours to that time. So it's day 0, 8 hours, minutes, seconds. So yes, that's my time, 11:29 a.m. And then I'll be getting just a date component or the date element. Okay, so let's see. And before we move on, I'll be making sure that this formula actually returns the desired date, which is supposed to be today. So I'll go ahead and um, create a table in a data flow. And I'll be using blank query. Next, let's check if this returns correctly. Um, I'll be subtracting. I want to go back to a different time zone. Let's say -8, which is probably -8. This returns correctly because -8 is yesterday's date. Okay, so let's go back to Power Query. Okay, and then let's change the type to type date. And the next thing we're going to do is we will create our start date. Start date. So let's add variable first. Um, let's see. Reference date. So ref date equals reference date. Mm, This year equals year date dot year and ref date. Okay, I think we need to add one more thing. This month equals date dot month, which will actually return the month number. So today is September 22, so date dot month of September is 9. In mm, okay. So 1 is actually today. So our start date for if, oops, forgot something. Let's add one more. I'll just use x, which refers to the number. So if x equals 1, then obviously the start date is today. So that would be ref date. Else, if x equals 2 yesterday, then that would be date that add days, ref date, and we add -1. Else, if x is equal to 3, so yesterday and today, that would mean our start date is still the same. So if we start date is the same, or I can actually include both in the same if line, then what? No, if f is equal to 4, which is in the last 7 days, which means that today minus 6, and that would be today minus 6 because 6 days before And today, that's equivalent to 7 days. So last week, so the start of last week. So last week, today, it's -7. The start of last week is 13 days ago, and that will end to 7 days ago. Oops. So last 2 weeks, the start is, yes, still 13 days, but we will have different end date later. So okay, this is 4, 5, and 6. Mm, it should be 7, and 7 is this month. So the start of this month is, we can actually, no, it's, we can use this month, date that month, but I'll be using um end of month instead. So let's see. 7 is this month. So the start date of this month is end of month of today's month. Am I right? End of month of last month, rather. And then we add a day to that. So end of last month plus one, just one. And then last 30 days. So that is inclusive of today's date. So last 30 days is just reference date minus 29. And did I miss something? So 7 is this month. 8 last month, last 30 days. Okay, I forgot last month. So this is supposed to be 9 and 10, 59. So last month is end of month 2 months ago plus 1. And this quarter. So this quarter, 11. Do we have like start of quarter? Yes, we have start of quarter. And then start of quarter. And 12. So 12, which means that this start of quarter have a an extra parameter. So date that start of quarter. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't have an extra parameter to move back to a pi quarter. Let's see. Date start of quarter. Reference date. So what we can do is, so this is the start of quarter. Mm, so the start of quarter. I think this is the start of quarter, and I date that add days. So I'll just deduct 1 day from that start of quarter, and then I'll get again the start of quarter of that. And this year. So this year, the start of this year, so 13. Date that's we have like start of year. Yes, we have start of year. And then roughly. So last year. So for last year, we can simply use this year minus 1, and then we will return a date. So this year minus 1, and of course the date is 1, that's January 14. Then custom. And custom is um custom. So for custom, we need to have like all the date ranges. Uh, Else, if custom, then ref date. I'll just use ref date for the meantime because I forgot what my start date is. Oops, I have errors and I'll check on those errors. Okay, this month. What is wrong with this month? So this month is 7, which is just supposedly. Yep, I should have used just date that start of month. No, I forgot about the function. So date that start of month and last month. So last month. Uh, so for last month. So I'm supposed to be using date that add month instead of date at end of month. So this means that from the reference date, we're deducting 2 months. We're moving back 2 months. And then we need to get the end of month of those 2 months. But there is actually a better way to do that. So I'll be just creating a date instead of using date that add days, date that add month. So I have the year, which is this year. And this month, -1, and the start is 1. Now let's check. 9. I think this is correct. So yesterday 21, yesterday and today start, last 7 days 16, last week. This month, last month is correct. Last 30 days is -29. This -59, this quarter, correct. Last quarter. This year, last year, and custom. So I need to check the start date of my data. It's 111 T21. So let's change the else if x equal 15 and date is 2021 else no. Anyway, we don't have any other numbers aside from 1 through 15. Then, okay. Now let's proceed to creating our end dates. End date, and I copied the start date formula. Of course, we'll be changing it. So to yesterday, that would be yesterday's end date, of course, yesterday. And yesterday and today, the end date is 03 today. In the last 7 days, the end date is still today, or x equals 4. Last week. So the end date of last week is mm, this is 7 days ago. That's 7 days ago. And last 2 weeks, that means that today or x equals 6 in reference date is today because last 2 weeks includes today, so that's 13 days ago plus today. So we now have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 this month, or x equals 7, and last month. So this is last month, the start of last month. We'll just end of month. And 9 is last 30 days. So that should include today's date as well. Or x equals 9, 9, last 30 days, last 60 days. So the same goes with 10. This quarter's 11, x equals 11. So let's remove 9 and 11. So 12 is last quarter. So let's just add a quarter. So end of quarter of the start of quarter. 13 is this year. The end of this year, x equals 13. Remove this. And 14, end of this year, right? This year, 13. So end of last year, 14 is 1231. X equals 13 and last year 14, now we're down to 15, which end date is obviously today. And let's make sure that we actually have type date. Okay, let's double check. Let me delete this for a while so we can double check. Okay, last year, yep, you're correct. Let me return number. And start date supposed to be a date. It's always a best practice to specify your dates. I mean, to specify the correct data type. And custom column, we will now generate a list of dates or a rows of dates. So dates or date number dot from. So what number dot from does is it parses a text or a date as number as long as it can be parsed. So start date can be parsed as number, and then we will generate a list of numbers from that. So dot dot means we're actually trying to create a list based on this start number and then end number. And date. So we now have a list of numbers. And then we will expand this to new rows and of course change the data type to date. So now we have it. Let me save this first. And the next thing to do is apply the changes. And then create a relationship from this preset to, well, actually, I should could have deleted uh, ref, reference date, start date, and end date. Oops, sorry. So Okay. This is wrong. So I removed the wrong column. That should have been reference date and not number. Then I don't need these start and end date columns. Oh, just delete them. Apply changes. Then I'm gonna make sure that this type is sorted by the number column. And he will hide this as well. And now it's time to create a relationship. Now, because date presets have repeating date, then we can't make use of one to many, but we'll be able to use many to one. And the relationship is, no, I cancel. It should be man to one and both. Because we want to be able to filter dates. If we use single, then you won't be able to do that because the relationship will flow from the one side to a many side with the relationship. So we need to use both. And now to test this. So I've got a type. I'll just rename this a preset. Use that in a slicer. And let's make sure that we are actually selecting or enforcing single selection. So today, that's today, yesterday, and today. So we have two in the last 7 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last week, 1, 2, that's 7 days ago. That's the 15th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This year, start date and date, last year and date, start date. Okay. And of course, custom. Oops. Let's check something. Uh, let's make sure that this a slicer is actually being filtered by this preset. Um, so last year, see, okay, for one, this quarter is a okay. So I think it works. And by the way, I will be adding a link to this PBX. Well, then, thank you for staying with me and have a good one. Happy weekends. Bye bye.